Disney Star Wars box office profits fail to cover costs of buying Lucasfilm. Caroline Reed, senior contributor. Let's see what's going on here. Box office profits generated by Disney's Star Wars movies have fallen 2.8 billion short of covering the media's giant purchase of the sci-fi saga creator Lucasfilm, according to analysis of recently filed financial statements. Whoo! Hot damn! That sounds bad. Disney bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion in 2012 and soon gave the green light to a new trilogy of Star Wars movies, which teamed up rising stars. I'm sorry, dude. Which teamed up rising stars Daisy Ridley and John Boyega with Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and the late Carrie Fisher, who headlined the original movie more than 30 years earlier. Okay, let's keep going. All the stars aligned when The Force Awakens, the first film in the new series, was released in 2015. According to the industry analyst Box Office Mojo, grossed a staggering $2.1 billion, causing Disney to commission 2 spin-off movies as well as the 2 sequels that were already planned. However, as the series continued, there was a disturbance in the Force due to an over-reliance on computer-generated effects and a lack of the gritty, quirky characters who made the original movies smash hits. We're going to keep reading this, and I'm sure Caroline has some good points in here. But I would just like to point out that she is suggesting Daisy Ridley and John Boyega were rising stars, and in the next paragraph implying that the reason things went awry is because they used too much CGI and they didn't have gritty, quirky characters. If somebody can explain what a gritty, quirky character is, please send me a DM on somewhere. I don't know what we're doing here. Okay, let's keep going. In 2019, The Rise of Skywalker, the third installment in the new trilogy, hauled in around half as much box office as The Force Awakens, though the series soon had a renaissance. Just a few weeks before the first case of Rona was discovered in December 2019, Disney debuted its first Star Wars streaming series, The Mandalorian. It was an instant success, thanks to the unlikely pairing of its protagonists. The series is named after a gruff, armored-clad bounty hunter
played by Pedro Pascal, who is tasked with tracking down the family.
Last month, Disney released a 76-page presentation singing the praises of its chief executive, Bob Iger, in a bid to convince stockholders to side with him in a battle activist investors. However, buried in the fine print is the revelation that the purchase price of Disney isn't even included in the ROI calculation. Instead, it is purely based on the box office performance of Disney's Star Wars trilogy, its 2 spin-off movies, merchandise, DVD, and Blu-ray sales. As revealed, the methodology is questionable, as Disney based the ROI on the revenue generated by the movies and merchandise, DVD, Blu-rays, rather than the profit that they made, as it should have done. Using the revenue rather than the profit artificially inflates the result, as it doesn't factor into the cost that Disney had to pay out. Okay. So you know what she's saying here? Let's just kind of keep everybody engaged, wake up. She's saying they used revenue, not the take home. So they're not including the cost of production, the cost of distribution, the cost of advertising. They're simply just saying the movie made this much money. The merchandise made this much money. And honestly, a lot companies do this all the time. They misrepresent things. They're trying to make a point. They're trying to glaze. It is what it is. Disney in particular, though, they've done this quite a bit recently. I mean, we all watched the Deadpool trailer for the Super Bowl, and Disney literally dropped a headline the next day saying that it broke an all-time trailer record viewership number, and they included 125 million views that watched a 30-second trailer that was played during the Super Bowl, right? So Disney being a little shady with the numbers doesn't surprise me at all. Makes sense. Even this wasn't enough for the media giant, so it also forecast the revenue that it expects Star Wars to make. So that wasn't even enough. They literally got out there and were like, oh yeah, and also it's gonna make all the bajillions from here. That's not all, folks. It's also making all the money from here on out. Wow. In other words, Disney hasn't actually received the revenue that it used to calculate the return on its investment. My God. I mean, wow. That's interesting. Despite seeming to do so, Disney's presentation doesn't actually reveal whether its Star Wars movies have covered the cost of its purchase of Lucasfilm. There may be a good reason for this. Analysis of more than 800 pages of company filings has revealed that the cost of making Disney's 5 Star Wars movies hit a total of $2.1 billion. Wow. Peaking at $567 million on The Force Awakens. However, that's just the start. Box office share, net spending, profit loss. Wow. So they lost like 90, only made 89. Made 346 on that one, 281 there. Wow. That's crazy.
Disney spent a total of $298.7 million making Rogue One.
Blah, 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 blah. I mean, she went hard in this article. The Star Wars movies are the jewel in Lucasfilm's crown and generate the lion's share of the revenue, which is, of course, why Disney highlighted them in the timeline in its presentation. With several Star Wars movies in the pipeline, Disney still has a chance to make its money back through their box office profits. The films have rediscovered the magic formula to appeal to fans, but aren't yet a force to be reckoned with for investors. Okay, so basically, we have this long article, a lot of detail of the actual cost that these movies are making. And the person that did this went through 800 pages of financial records from Disney, which is a publicly traded company. So they have to report this, right? Forbes is also, of course, known for being in financial matters. That's their whole thing. So I believe this. And the reason this matters, like, why would we even talk about this, right? Like, why does this even matter? Some of you, you have the attitude of, I don't care about this sort of stuff. I don't care about Nielsen. I don't care about charting. I only care whether I like the thing. I think that's fine. Like, truly, that's a completely valid way to, like, enjoy your content. But here's where the rubber meets the road. A lot of us are very unhappy with where Star Wars is at right now. A lot of us did not like what was done with the sequel trilogy. And yet, a lot of people try to say to us, the people that are disgruntled, yeah, but they're making so much money. Or, yeah, but Star Wars is so successful. Star Wars is bigger than it's ever been. No, it isn't. And I think for a lot of us that are very upset with the state of Star Wars, things like this matter because you can no longer point at the big numbers for Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, even Rogue One. And you can no longer use those numbers to justify or to try to delegitimize concerns from fans or the types of fans that are very frustrated with what is going on. And it's like, we're just trying to point out and say, yeah, I don't think Kathy's doing a good job. I actually don't think Star Wars is making a bunch of money. I personally think Star Wars is hurting. I think Star Wars is going downhill. I think they have messed up significantly. And articles like this are important because here's the thing. Regardless of how you feel about Disney or how you feel about Disney Star Wars, you should care that corporations are trying to spin things, obfuscate, hide the truth, lie to you. It should matter because you should understand that powerful entities that have the ability to squash down dissension are doing that. They're hiding it. They're lying, right? So for me, I totally believe it. Doesn't surprise me at all. And I think hopefully investors get wind of this because at this point, I don't know what it would take for Star Wars to have to go through a serious change, but I strongly feel that $5 billion in box office has been something that is continuously brought up to support Kathleen Kennedy remaining in charge. Like, that's not crazy, right? Like, that's not a crazy thing to think about. If people are saying, I don't know about this direction for Star Wars, you don't think people are going to bring up the revenue? right? So I think shit like this matters. I think you should share this video out. I think people should be talking about this. I think investors should be talking about this because I am a person that is not happy with Star Wars, and I think it's reflected in the numbers, and I think they should change. So there you go. Yeah, let me know what you think, chat.